How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about President Trump's response to the $600 virus stimulus package. Now, I do have video of his response. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, I got to back up a little bit here to give you some context, just so we're on the same page with each other. Now, there's two different bills that combine as one. The first is the regular government spending, which is $1.4 trillion. The other, on top of that, is a virus stimulus package, which is $900 billion. You put it together, you get $2.3 trillion in government spending. Now, out of that $900 billion, Americans that make less than $75,000 a year, single, 150 married, are going to get a one-time payment of $600. Right? Now, I did a little bit of math. If you give every man, woman, and child that's a citizen, different story, I digress. Every man, woman, and child that's a citizen in the U.S., $600, that'll cost $200 billion. So where's the other $700 billion going? Very good question. Now, Trump says that $600 is a slap in the face. Let's give every American the minimum of $2,000. Now, a little bit of math, using that same formula, that'll cost about $500 billion. You still got $400 billion left in the virus stimulus. So what's the big deal? Now, before I go any further, let's go ahead and roll this clip. In the clip, you'll see Trump talking about the virus stimulus and cutting the pork and the fat. After we get done with that, I'm going to talk about what he said. I'll talk about Democrats' reaction to his reaction. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama, $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business, $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition. Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me, and we will get it done. Thank you very much.
All right, so you heard that, you saw that. Now, that was a really great short speech. Short and sweet, straight to the point, gave you all the facts, tell you all his grievances with the bill, and laid it out in a really plain way. He's saying, look, all this pork, talking about $10 million in Pakistan for gender studies, $700 billion to Sudan, and all these random countries, they're going to go buy arms from Russia. Let's not do all the pork and the waste and the total abuse of this quote unquote virus stimulus package. Let's give the monies straight to American citizens, at least $2,000 each for those that will qualify, I will suppose, if you make less than the money that they say you got to make to get to 600. Okay, so I don't see what the problem is. Now, a lot of the Democrats are agreeing with the money. They're saying, hey, let's do that. Nancy Pelosi talking about, oh, well, Republicans didn't want to say how much Trump wanted to give. Now we have the number, so let's go forward with the 2,000. I think AOC, Chuck Schumer, they all agree on the 2,000. Who else? Elizabeth Warren, they agree on the 2,000. What they don't agree on when they talk about the 2,000 is eliminating the pork, the waste, the abuse, all the other monies. Okay, they don't want to give some of that money back. They don't want to cut the money that they're going to give to the Kennedy Center. Like, why are we giving millions to the Kennedy Center? Who cares about the arts at a time like this? You can't even go to the place. All right. If I can't even go to the Smithsonian and Kennedy Center or whatever, why are we giving them money? For what? To stay open and not even open. You can't even go. So what's the purpose of giving them the money? See, they don't want to cut out the excess. They want to keep all of that and then put the extra money on top. So rather than the bill being $900 billion just for the virus stimulus package, now I ain't talking about the government spending, which is also too much. Okay, we're spending too much in general, not just with the virus stimulus, but also with the government. They want to put $400 billion more on top of the $900 billion you already got. So rather than the whole thing being 2.3 trillion, you're talking about what, 2.8, 2. Just make it an even $3 trillion. Just an absurd amount of money. And then the thing is, the Democrats don't want to end the lockdown, so we're going to be right back here again in a few months. And I said this earlier in the year when they passed the first virus stimulus. I'm like, okay, what's the point in doing this if we're not going to shut down? Like, I understand this is like reparations, if you call it that, for having the government force you to stay shut down and you can't make a living, so you make up for it a little bit with the $2,000. I think there's also some PPP loans in the money that they're going to give out for the virus stimulus. Okay, I understand that. But the solution here, the actual solution is to open up. So if they're not going to cut the pork, the waste, the fraud, all of that out of the bill, if they're not going to up the payments, and if they're not going to open the country up, it doesn't even matter. You can't do one and not everything else. You can't just get a $2,000 and then keep everything shut down. We're trying to wait for a vaccine to kick in. We're trying to wait for this and wait for that. We'll be sitting here our whole lives, holding our breath, waiting for this, waiting for that. Enough is enough already, all right? I agree with Trump on the raised monies, but what I think the focus of everyone should be is getting back to normal, okay? Because if we don't get back to normal, we're going to keep spending more and more and more and more money that we don't have, okay? The debt is skyrocketing. Our debt to GDP ratio is ridiculous. It's embarrassing how much we are in debt. And the more we get into debt, the more that foreign nations, China, Russia, etc., are going to continue to eat our lunch. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that we should give the money and keep all the pork, all the fat in the bill? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or should we not give the money at all and just cancel the whole bill? And that's your viewpoint. Let me know why in the comments below. I think you guys pretty much know where I stand. I say go to get the $2,000, but have that be it. Have nothing else in the bill. Just the money that will go straight to American citizens. No extra foreign aid money. No, arts money. No random pork, fat, waste, lobbyists, buddy. None of that. Cut all of that out and give the money straight to the people and open the country up. Do both. Don't give the money and keep us closed, because we're going to be right back here in 2 more months, 1 more month with a handout. Can I have some more? Rather than just letting us go out there and make that money on our own. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.